I think I initiated recording.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Happy evening to everyone. This is Akshay Lakshmi from the core team. I'm glad to welcome our speaker for the day, Hannah ma'am, and our dear participants on behalf of Dr. Suresh Kumar sir and the core team members for the Mental Health Webinar Series 2020, organized by the Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, in association with Madras School of Social Work, uh, MS Chellamuthi Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation Center, Madurai, Red Fort Educational and Psychological Research Center, Madurai, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey, and the International Center for Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy, Germany. Now, I request Ms. Ananya Lakshmi from the core team to introduce the speaker for the day and also give the general instruction for the participants.
Thank you, Akshaya. So we are speaking from the same place. So I'm glad Dr. Hannah John is currently working as an assistant professor of psychology at Madras School of Social Work. She is a passionate teacher and a counselor. Her expertise area are parenting, counseling process, training, spiritual counseling, health, etc. She is into multi-capacity personality. She does various therapy for family, couple, adolescent, young adults, and parents. She is coordinating a college counseling center in a very effective and efficient way. We are happy to have you here, ma'am. You are the right person to talk about coping here today. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am. And
Thank you.
dear participants, kindly avoid unmuting yourself, and if you are in a modest stress, you can keep your video on. Otherwise, let's avoid that. And happy to have you, Hannah ma'am, here, and the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. I really want to congratulate the psychology department of American College. And also, I would like to congratulate all the people those who are associated for this webinar series. I really so glad to be here. And I think I have also done one topic for this series. I'm really happy about this 267th webinar today. I thank for all the support I received from Dr. Subhashri and also Dr. Suresh Kumar. So thank you for giving me this opportunity again. So can I share? I hope it's
yes. Slide is visible, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes. You're audible, ma'am. Can you make PPT as a full screen, ma'am?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. So this evening, the topic is coping strategies. Many of you, this is the term we have been using for the past 7 months. Okay, and we have never expected that we will live like this. You just imagine what we were in 2019. We were at this point of time, we were so busy with our own work, especially this October, November. We have a lot of celebration, and also we are part of so many activities. This is a very busy month for all of us. Just imagine now we are also doing the same, but in a different mode. So we are basically we have a lot of coping strategies. So this webinar, I'm going to spend around 40 to 45 minutes on what exactly coping and what are the different strategies we have for coping. And there are a lot of other problems and how are we coping with the solutions. And there are problems, how are we coping with emotional focused coping, and a few things on those I would like to share much. And at the end of my presentation, I have also taken a small measurement tool which measures the coping style. And according to that author, whatever he has prescribed, I am going to present it. So this is the agenda for this 40 to 45 minutes reflection. I hope all of us have different work, but still we want it and we just want to associate and we want to enrich our mind. We want to refresh our mind and we want to be rejuvenated by doing so many activities. We are not stuck with COVID. Though we had a lot of painful experiences with us, though we have a lot of unexpected things happen with us, but still we could translate that into a better coping style and we could lead a life and we are also able to lead sometimes more beyond what we could imagine. So I have listened to so many stories. Like people said, initially I was like this, in February I was like this, and April I became like this, and now I have completely overcome my real fear, anxiety, or the lot of stressful situation I have gone through. I have become big and also very strong. Many people are saying about it. So I'm going to throw some light on coping strategies. Okay. So what I believe, do you have coping strategies? When I ask you a question of this kind, all of us would agree because from the childhood, we have a lot of different resources inbuilt. It's like a battery which is inbuilt in a mobile. Yeah. So when it is inbuilt and it needs to be charged again and again, when it drains the energy and we are charging it again. That is what exactly happening with the coping strategies. And when you see the Tamil term for coping strategies, we have a beautiful term there that is called Samali Thiran. அதாவது how do we overcome? How do we translate into difficulty? How do we cope up with the real situation and coming up very successfully? How do we increase our resilience? So all these things cover under coping strategies. Okay, what exactly? We know we have inner ability. I just spoke about how we have a battery within our mind or energy within our body. We have real ability which we then and there we use it. It's like a resource we have inside. Whenever there is a threatening situation, whenever there is a challenging situation, when there is a situation that is we think that is very harmful and which is not it's not going to help us in our own well-being, immediately we remember our ability. Because see, very small children, you observe very small children. Just imagine a COVID situation in a small children. See, for very small children, may not even understood about all this what is happening. But afterwards, when children are around 2 to 6 or early childhood, so when there are some situation around, there are some information being discussed at home, they also listen and they have a different way of understanding it. But they cope. Initially, they may be very fearful, very anxious, then they cope very well. So like us, even as adults, or I can say young adults, we have lot of threatening situation we have faced, not only because of COVID, but also something what has happened in our personal life. And there are a lot of challenging situations where we just decision, yes or no, a kind of situation where we have to react immediately, where we have to get charged immediately. So all those, and when you find some situation is very harmful, I don't know what I'm going to face now. So how will I be in a position to live? For example, we are so scared of corona. Like when we are mingling with people, sometimes we feel like we are not having social support at this point of time. Like when we want to meet people, we have a fear, whether we can do that. So all these are related to our well-being. So when you think about well-being, there are several other components, but coping is basically how to manage all this situation. That's what the coping is. So there are some definitions for coping strategies as such. Like coping strategies means this is a psychological patterns. So where does the pattern grow? How did you get it? This you have seen it according to social psychology, which you have observed how people are coping it. The same thing we will also observe. We try to apply it in our life. We see that it is we are coping. Then we use that as a strategy whenever there is a stressful situation. So that is the psychological patterns that any individual uses for managing their own thoughts, feelings, and action. There are three things happening. Not only your feelings. Sometimes we are feelers, more of feelers. We have a lot of different emotions. I am going to talk about emotions also today. Then sometimes some of the thought patterns. Okay, then whatever the framework you thought about yourself, and actions. What are we? The actions are supposed to be taken at that particular situation to cope up with whatever.
Ma'am, your audio is clear. We are not able to hear you. Anna, ma'am?
Audio is not clear.
Yeah, now it is. Please continue.
Clear, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am.
Okay. So where did I lost it? Like, did I explain about coping strategies? Are you very able to hear that? So
Yes,
it's
yes.
basically psychological patterns, like these patterns that will manage our own thoughts. So these thoughts and these actions and feelings, they are used for dealing with any kind of ill health, any kind of mental ill health, or any kind of stressful situation. So it could be a behavioral component, or it could be a cognitive component. I can give an example for this. For example, one particular stressful situation. So are we coping it by using something, or are we coping it by thinking about that? Okay, there are different ways of doing it. Each one will take different ways of doing it. Like, basically, we need to understand all these are not very new for you, but I just want to remind you about, because you have been listening to so many. Definitely, in different dimensions, you would have thought much about your own life. But today, I would like to give a lot of importance on how are we coping it. So let us measure our own self, our own coping strategies. Okay, so let us think a little bit on our emotions. So emotions, secondary emotions. So we have a lot of emotions. We are experiencing emotions, and also we are able to understand people, those who are experiencing emotions. That is what we call it as emotional intelligence. Okay, but this primary emotions, this is already inbuilt in us. These emotions are experienced. Sometimes we use all these emotions for coping our own difficulties. Like, it could be, there are a lot of gifts attached with it. Like, when, for example, when there is a pain, sometimes it will release, if there is a pain in our body. Immediately we understand that it's a good mechanism, because if we don't understand pain, we will not treat it. So when there is a pain, it is an indicator something is wrong in your body. So sometimes it may be a pain, maybe a thought, a painful thought, or it may be some ill health in a body. So all these, it will lead to complete growth, or it will lead to complete healing. Likewise, I just put it because for each of the primary, a lot of other gifts attached with that. See, for example, even when we feel shameful, so we are feeling it. We are feeling very shameful about it, but it can lead to so many other things, like whatever we have done. Maybe we are feeling so guilty about what we have done, and suddenly we are moving it. Okay, we have done it, but hereafter we are not doing. So we are leading towards a humanity. When we feel so guilty about it, and then there is a shift in the values what we have. When you feel very lonely, you feel very isolated. Afterwards, you can also be very independent or interdependent. So there are a lot of primary and secondary emotions, which is also very much in practice, so that it can be used for your coping. It could be any way of any way you can take it up. Like, whenever you are able to experience that primary emotions or secondary emotions, and you can also use it for your coping. Yeah. Okay. Then people normally talk about these are all the strategies which has been explained several times in psychology books and in a different ways. For example, emotional focused coping and problem focused coping. So let me talk about problems first. Like problems are inevitable wherever you go, wherever we go. So there are a lot of problems around us. Like looking at the problem, like how are we looking at the problems what we are experiencing? Problems are very unique to individuals. Like we can't underestimate somebody's problem. Okay, the person who is that particular problem, know how much he is also painful about it, or how he is feeling very painful about it. Okay, so that it cannot be compared. Like one painful experience, somebody may have a better to hold it, or somebody may not be having a better mechanism to hold, deal with it. So that is where we need some kind of strength. That's what we are going to discuss today. Like the we are inbuilt mechanism. Sometimes we take that problem at one time, deal with that. For example, let us take some example of any kind of problem, like adolescent who is not able to concentrate well. That is the problem which is focused on, which is very much related to studies. Not only studies, he is not able to concentrate on whatever the plans he has or goals he has. So that is one kind of problem. So when he take that problem, he can generate so many adaptive or coping strategies for studying. He can adapt so many coping strategies, but he has to choose a right adaptive coping strategy. This is where he becomes resilient. Sometimes what happens is we have a lot of coping skills, but we are not using a right coping skill for. That is where we need a lot of guidance. For example, the same example, like you are not able to have a good relationship with people because the anger level, what you have is not, anger level is little high. So that obstructs all your understanding towards having a proper relationship. So when you find that problem, so you have to deal with the emotion, because which is not properly handled. So we naturally adapt any method of doing or any method of coping, but what we have to think whether whatever we are following, is it the adaptive behavior or maladaptive behavior? Okay, so when you do a adaptive behavior, you are actively coping well. That will lead to good plan. That will lead to a good acceptance. That will lead to a lot of support from others. That will lead to so many things, so many strategies around you, so that it will lead to happiness. But when it is not very much adaptive, it is maladaptive, then there are a lot of negative emotions and negative experiences. Like either they just put them in a denial. I don't want to do it. So I don't have anything good in my life. All those strategies, thinking. Or sometimes it can lead to any kind of alternative usage of any substance for the temporary. They started using that as a coping skill. That will lead to not a proper that is not a proper adaptive coping strategy. Sometimes you extremely blame our own self. Like we don't want to analyze the situation. We don't want to analyze the problem. Focus only on blaming on somebody or blaming on our own self. That is also highly possible. So whatever is available with us, the problems are there. We have started a lot of strategies inbuilt in us, but we have to utilize the right coping strategy to a right kind of issues. That is where we are going to be different. So when we are applying one particular strategy, whether we have to see whether it is it can be utilized for a long period, or whether it is bringing success, or whether it leads to a positive emotion. When it is not happening, and again we can't use the same skill for dealing with the problems of that time. So we have to adapt a different method. That's where we need guidance. So some authors say, like, when there is a problem, and if the problem is in our control, Like for example, not all problems are in our control. There are which are purely under our control. There are few problems which we cannot do much about. So what we do, yes, when we know that yes, we have, I can change it, then you will be immediately focused on the problems. When you
Hannah ma'am?
is it clear?
Now we can hear you, ma'am.
மேடம் உங்க நெட்வொர்க் இஸ் வெரி புவர் மேம். நீங்க ஆஃப் பண்ணிடுங்க மேம். தேங்க்யூ மேம்.
Hannah ma'am, go ahead, ma'am. We can hear you.
Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
So there are two ways. Both the ways are very good. Either you can take a problem and go through it, and you thought about it, you address your feeling, and you cope with it. And other way, when your problems are not under your control, then we have a different way of doing it, just by ventilation. So that is also one way of by just venting it out or just talking about the problem. That is also a part of emotion focused coping. Both the ways are good. But how the intensity varies from person to person and our problem to problem. Okay, so some of the things I would like to talk about problem focused coping, especially some coping style skill related to process. So it cannot happen in a one particular through a process. Then there are strategies which bring action. For example, there are few examples given. For one particular problem, if you find that time management is a big flaw there, or I can say time management, or they are not able to have a proper schedule for their own time. If that being altered, many of the problems could be solved. So I hope all youngsters would agree with me, because many youngsters, they are coming up to be distracted so much, and we have a lot of work to do, and we are interested in so many areas. We want to do this and that, but somehow we miss the time. We are not prioritizing properly. We are not able to spend enough time what is needed. So that is where we need a thought process level, where you have to understand that particular one strategy that can completely change the coping level. Whatever you have been coping and whatever you are doing now is completely different. Okay, a simple goal setting. Like I can say, even goal setting, it is a process. You have to do it. Either you have to do it for some short term or for a long term. You do it in a different way. So when you fix it, and you are not distracted anymore. Yeah, let us take an example of how do we handle stress at a level. Like for example, when somebody says, my plate is already full. That means I have enough problems within me. So I don't want to take some. Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel that I have a lot of problems? Why my plate is completely full? So that if that is exhaustion level, then we have to think about cutting off certain things where we try to prioritize what is needed. Okay, that is immediately a problem focused coping, but at the same time, it is done at a very continuous level. So it will lead to a proper adaptive coping strategy. Okay, or sometimes you have to take a step to change a particular behavior, or you need to take a particular action. For example, if you are physically sick for maybe 15 days, and you are not able to, though you are taking some medicine, you are not able to concentrate well, and your health is completely affected, then you have to take a proper treatment along with the proper diet plan. So that is again a particular action level you are taking. So whatever the problems around us, when it is affecting me, I have to think whether I am doing it at a process level, I need a change, or do I take one behavior level or a particular action which I take, then that will lead to proper coping. So that is another thing. So next we are thinking about emotional coping, when we think about emotional coping, like for example, when you think about emotional well-being, I hope this is the area many people need some guidance, including me, I'm saying, because we sometimes we are just play with our own emotions. Like we sometimes we are dealing with the emotions which are above and underneath. There are several emotions which is not being taken enough care. Yeah, so that is affecting us in so many ways. Like when you just analyze all these components, like one is about self-esteem. Self-esteem, as all of you must be knowing about, how do you value yourself? Do you feel good about yourself, or are you in a position to accept you as you are, or how much you value yourself? Like I know whether you have a belief that you are able to do things, you have a positive belief about you. That is one aspect of it. And how do you think about people around you, not about your team? How do you feel about people around you? Could be a family or friends or social support, whatever. When you think about people around you, are you feeling so happy about it? So how well are you able to everyday living? So are you happy and comfortable and relaxed manner you are doing it? And how well you are able to you are able to contribute for other society? How well you feel so confident about yourself? All these are components of emotional well. So when you want to cope up emotionally, you have to think about all these things, and you have to change. Depends upon the situation. That is where you can keep up your emotional well-being. In focus, there are a lot of stress, like especially uh, especially when you have a lot of problems related to your health, and this is very helpful. Like sometimes we are becoming ineffective when we are not addressing the root of the problem. And sometimes no root of the problem. Social focused coping is almost just peripheral way we are dealing with it. We are just not going in deep in the problem. Sometimes it doesn't give a very long solution to it. Okay, so these are all the different ways. When I think about these coping strategies, what you have to understand is we have enough coping mechanism inbuilt in us. Sometimes let us think about even defense mechanism. That is also some of the good method of coping, I can say, because that is the way we want to portray, and we want to take it up in our own life. Because somehow we want to come up. See, that is where you can lead towards resilience. Like when you are leaning towards whatever the problem you are surrounded with, whatever the kind of situation you are surrounded with, but you can cope. Okay, and also there are few things about your problem. When you are very much are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So there are a lot of things you can also think about how do you see the situation. Like the basic example I can tell you is stress history. People, youngsters, they are talking about, I'm depressed, and sometimes they even say that I'm very stressful. Nowadays, people say online classes, online. We have to do a lot of things to be completed, especially students. You say a lot of things to be completed. You always feel so worried, and we don't have. See, when you come together, due to this COVID situation, I'm saying, when you come together, there are a lot of things happening around you. Like people will talk about so many things, and you have a good network, and you support each other. You have a jolly time, you have a fun time together. But now it is completely restricted. I know youngsters definitely would be suffering, and you would have increased your cooking style at this. Maybe I'm saying maybe from July onwards, you would have increased your cooking style to the maximum capacity, because it was in the beginning you were finding it difficult, and afterwards, after you left around 3 months and 2 months, I just start thinking about so many ways of doing it, or excessively involved in social network. So all those are there. Whatever the situation around you, whatever the stressful situation around you, but we have a lot of inbuilt mechanism for meet of any kind of stressful situation. But only thing we just want to be, completely in a position to analyze. We should be completely in a position to reason out what is happening with me and validate. And we also always learn. We modify our behavior by learning the different ways of coping. We modify our own behavior. So initially we were coping differently. Now we are coping very differently. So and we are in a position to use a lot of solving skills. Okay, I lost my job. So when you think about losing a job, definitely we have to think about what are the areas I can improve and what are the areas I can really contribute at this time, like when I am at home. So a lot of things about it, and just engage yourself in different problem solving skills, and you would like to always apply what is available with you. So I can only say, all stressful situation always brings us to a level where we think that we are more resilient, more than conquerors, I can say. So there are there's one particular tool I would like to use, and this author has developed Carver has developed a book inventory. He talks about at different levels how people cope at different levels. So if you could take this test, and you will be knowing how well you are coping with your own difficulties. Okay, as it could be a stressful daily affair, it could be a problem which has a long-standing effect, or it could be some problem related to your very personal life. It could be a problem which is in the family and which you don't have control over it in the family. Some could be related problems, whatever be the problems, we have enough strength for our own
Ma'am?
lives. That's right. So,
Ma'am,
yes,
uh,
Ravina.
can we try without your headphones, ma'am? Because the audio is a lot disturbing. If it's okay,
Okay. You are not able to hear me properly.
we are able to hear you, ma'am, but a lot of audio disturbance is coming. So we thought, okay, if we could go without the headphones, probably the audio would be better.
Maybe I will reduce. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, ma'am, we are able to see.
Yeah, this is the cope inventory. So if all of you can try this, and you can be, you can measure the way you do it, and what is your coping strategy. Display around 60 items. So it is a very, very simple item. Just you have to put 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 means you don't do this at all. Sometimes you do little bit. So it is from you are not doing at all, and up to you do a lot. So that is the higher the score, and that is what you will do very many times. So you just attempt it and see what are the different ways you do it, because I'm going to give you some areas where how you are going to cope with it. Like you could take this test, or I can leave the slides with you, and you can also do this if you have time. You can do this now. So I try to grow as a person, as a I turn to work or other substitute activities to take my mind off things. I get upset and let my emotions out. Would you like to do it? How many of you would be really interested to do it now? You can do it. So what is your advice, Dr. Veena? Shall we do this test, or I'll send the slides so that others can do it?
Ma'am, probably we can have the slides, ma'am.
Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, ma'am, we are able to see the slides. And it will be helpful if you could send the slides to the participants.
Yeah, I'll be sending it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So there are 68. I can send this if you somebody is very So some people are saying that they want to do it now. So please try it out. It's very, very simple. One or two idea in each sentence. Like I put my trust in God. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. So if your score is 4, that means that is the higher level you use it as a coping. Yes, Desha, you have raised a hand.
I'm just not getting where to fill it. So,
Ma'am, we are facing lot of technical issues, sort of. I think many of them are not audible also properly. So participants, whoever want to take the test, they can take. Others, we will be sending the slides
Yeah,
from ma'am, so
that
that
will
you
be
can
fine.
try out. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
people can try out. There are, you have to do all these 60 questions. So
Yes, ma'am.
finally, I don't want to tell the answers now because there are different ways of coping it. So what the author says here is there are different levels we are coping. Like he talks about, there are things that are completely on venting their emotions. There is to support. There is a coping through a denial, religious coping. There is a coping skill through humor. There is a coping through the emotional support. There are also coping related to substance use. There are coping related to doing some competitive activities. They are coping through a lot of. So what he says is when you analyze the whole paper or whatever the author has said. So what I would like to say is he says not only we can't put only in a broad category where you talk about only a problem focused coping or solution focused coping. There are different ways in which people use for a better coping. So it may be very different from person to person. So we need not say I am not coping well, she is not coping well. But what we have to understand is whether this coping skill is rightly used as an adaptive behavior or as a maladaptive behavior. Is it progression? Is it progressing you for a proper resilience or not? That is where it makes a difference. So because as I told you already that we have been having the skills from the beginning, like a very small, we have adapted so many things and it is inbuilt and we keep trying about so many areas. But how do we cope right now? Maybe we may be around 30 years old or 35 years old, but are we coping well at this point of time? This is the exact situation where you really think that are you coping well or not? If you are coping well, you are naturally happy. When you are not, when you are coping very well, then that means you are able to contribute for somebody's life. Okay, when you are coping well, you are giving support to so many people. When you are coping well, your health is improved. When you are coping well, there is a progress or there is a growth in your personal life. So that is we end up saying that I'm not in a position to cope at all. I know we use I know a lot of strategies and say no. Finally it is not working well with me. No, it's not like that. It will definitely work. You need to change a little bit here and there so that it help you for a proper resilience. So I would like to congratulate all the people who really participated today. And let us analyze our own coping styles. Are we using a lot of strategies which are which are really helpful for our group, or how do we react well, or how do we focus our problems, or how do we manage through emotional focused coping? Okay, I would like to congratulate all of you for having a right understanding about coping well. So can we have some questions? If you have any questions, I can also help you
Yes,
to.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. You have taught a lot of things regards to the coping mechanisms and everything. And during this COVID pandemic, everyone is really struggling to how to overcome. And this session will definitely be an eye opener for them all. Thank you so much, and we have learned a lot. Like sometimes the strength in being the coping itself is a sort of strength for a person. Thank you so much, ma'am. And participants, whoever have questions, you can kindly unmute yourself and go ahead, or you could put in the chat box so that I can facilitate it.
I also would be very happy if somebody shares some stories about how well they have coped some of the situations around this pandemic situation. So they can also share some success stories so that everybody can learn.
Ma'am, I've started painting a lot and it's been really helpful and it was nice. I left painting in a very early age. Like I haven't painted for years, like 4 or 5 years, but right now I've started and it's very nice and therapeutic.
Thank you for sharing.
I would like to add on.
Question chat box, you can, if you have an option for it.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Ma'am, yes, Hannah, ma'am, can you stop sharing the screen, ma'am?
Okay.
Yes, Disha, you can go ahead.
Of clients present, and that was taking a lot of toll on me as a psychologist. People's emotions and their situation, so it takes a lot of toll on me. So as a
1
coping
minute.
strategy, I tried reaching out to.
Yes. Can you please come again?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Yes.
So I have tried reaching out, as well as reaching out to mentors and other people, so that I can unburden myself of the emotional and mental toll that it was taking. So that was one coping skill that as a person in mental health I had to take. Also reducing the number of clients that I use has helped me, because self-care comes first. If I'm in a strong state, I can't really be of a, so that main reason that today I was really looking forward to today's session on coping skills, and it has given a lot of other things that I can now utilize. And so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, there is a question from one of the participants. Any particular
Yeah.
method?
Is there in a chat box here?
Yes, ma'am. So, any particular method or coping strategy to cope up with our emotions?
Any particular method or coping strategy to cope up with our emotions, ma'am? We use emotions for as for coping. So what is the question there? Any particular method that again depends upon how well what is very appropriate for your own situation. So it could be a simple ventilation of emotions, or it could be decisions based on emotions, or you have a different level of experience of emotions by doing some activity. For example, if you feel so dull for maybe a week's time, then so your emotions are not all right, and when you want to cope up with the present feelings, so you can do you can plan out activity or small exercises, or which is very which will give you a lot of strength. Which we cannot say that you have to do this or that, but you have to find out which is great, which is very helpful for you. And some few methods, when you try it out, then it will rejuvenate your mind again and again, that is where you will be in a position to cope up well. We can't say this particular method, that method, but according to you and what is working out with your own thinking or with your own ventilation of your emotion, that will be helpful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there is one more. If I score high on 3 coping strategies, example, those items I could try now, first 4 items for mine, and so score for all. So if the total score comes high for 3 strategies, then how to interpret? See, you have to do the and author has given 4 items for each of the coping styles. Like I gave a slide where maybe if you have a religious for 4 those questions, if you are scoring 4 on all the 4 questions, so your score is 16. So if your score is 16, your religious coping is stronger than other coping. The lesser coping could be a social support or any other ventilation of emotions. It could be any other thing. But you are going to find out which you are using more for coping your own life situations. That's what the test shares.
Yes. Thanks.
Did I answer your question, Reshma? Okay, thank you.
So yes, participants will be definitely sending the slides, and the questionnaire map has
Please
sent
do
you
it.
the slides.
Yeah.
And you can
That is where we will understand which coping we are using in our own life. See, there is no right or wrong coping there. So your way of coping is that particular area that you have to understand. So if you are working out very well, if you are progressing towards happiness, then your coping is fine. If it is not there, you have to shift little bit for the other strategies. I hope it's clear.
Ma'am, can you please type your email address so that if any of the participants have any queries regarding to the questionnaire, they can contact you.
And this is my email ID. You can also write to me. We can discuss more. Because within short time, I just want to give some key points so that you can remember it for a long time. So there are so many aspects under for problem focused or emotion focused coping. But still, I want to make it very simple so that you get to know how much you are progressing well in coping strategies.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was wonderful, and I'm sure these coping mechanisms not only helps us to deal with this pandemic, but even for any situation or any crisis that comes in our life. Thank you so much for empowering us with your enlightening session. Now I call upon Suresh sir to do the honors of vote of thanks for Hannah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Salim sir? Salim sir, can you hear us, sir? Okay, I will proceed with the thanks, ma'am. Ananya Lakshmi here. Thank you so much, Hannah, ma'am, for the wonderful session today. It was very informative, and thank you so much for explaining things in a very clear way, ma'am. I genuinely thank you from the Department of Psychology, American College Madurai, and all the other associating institutes like Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, and our own college, and also from other institutes like Yellow Pond Research. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Just a minute. My network is getting. Yeah. Yes, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot for
opportunity. Thank you, dear participants.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the core team members also, I would like to thank you for being here, and Psycho-Oncological Association Turkey, MS Alamutu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, and Red Pond Educational Psychological Research Center, Madurai. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you for the interruption also. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay, Ananya. We do have certain technical glitches now but then. That's what ma'am said. No, it's all about how we cope with the crisis. So thank you again, Hannah ma'am, for that excellent session for us. And yes, ma'am. And participants, kindly send your queries and feedback to mywebinarfeedback@gmail.com, and we will be sending the slides through Telegram as well as to the groups. And if you have any queries, you can contact Hannah ma'am. She has given her mail ID in the chat box. Thank you so much. We will meet tomorrow with yet another wonderful session. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.